जो रिकवर्ड पेशेंट्स हैं, मरीज हैं, उनकी संख्या 24 लाख से ज़्यादा हो गई है और वो आज की तिथि में जो एक्टिव केसेस हैं उनके 3 गुना से भी ज़्यादा हैं, लगभग 3.5 गुना है, 3.4 टाइम्स ऑफ एक्टिव केसेस. सो रिकवर्ड पेशेंट्स, दैट नंबर इज मोर देन 3.4 टाइम्स ऑफ द एक्टिव नंबर. इसी से जुड़ा हुआ जो बिंदु है वो रिकवरी का है और रिकवरी रेट इस समय 75% से अधिक हो गया है. इसकी वजह से जो एक्टिव केस हैं वो कुल केसेस के मात्र 22% रह गए हैं. अब टेस्टिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, जो कि जिसके बारे में एक अलग से प्रेजेंटेशन है, उसमें लगातार बढ़ोतरी हुई है देश में, चाहे वो प्राइवेट लैब्स हों या सरकारी लैब्स हों, सब में एक्सपोनेंशियल इंक्रीज़ हुआ है. उसकी वजह से जो टेस्टिंग की नंबर है वो बढ़ी है और 25 अगस्त तक देश भर में 3,68,25,520 टेस्ट किए जा चुके हैं. ये महत्वपूर्ण बिंदु मैं आपके दृष्टि में लाना चाहूँगा. हम मंत्रालय के स्तर पर ये मॉनिटर करते हैं कि प्रतिदिन जो हमने टेस्ट किए उनमें क्या पॉजिटिविटी आई, प्रत्येक सप्ताह जो रोलिंग 7 डे एवरेज होता है उसमें क्या पॉजिटिविटी दिखाई दे रही है, और जो हिस्टोरिकल क्यूमुलेटिव पॉजिटिविटी है आज तक हुए टेस्ट्स की, वो क्या है. अब यहाँ इस ग्राफ में जो महत्वपूर्ण बात है वो ये है कि मैं आपको 13 अगस्त की ओर लिए चलता हूँ. 13 अगस्त का अगर आप बार देखें तो उस दिन तक 2,68,00,000 टेस्ट देश भर में हुए थे और पॉजिटिविटी 8.93% थी. अब अगर आप 25 अगस्त को देखें तो 2,68,00,000 से बढ़कर टेस्ट्स की संख्या 3,68,00,000 हो गई. उसके बावजूद पॉजिटिविटी घटकर 8.60 हो गई. तो जो बिंदु हम आपके समक्ष रखना चाह रहे हैं वो ये है कि while the number of tests have increased exponentially, there is a steady decline in the positivity rate. जहां एक ओर टेस्ट की संख्या में अप्रत्याशित वृद्धि हुई है, वहीं दूसरी ओर जो पॉजिटिव लोग निकल रहे हैं उस टेस्ट की वजह से, उनकी जो प्रतिशत है वो लगातार गिर रही है. तो ये तो क्यूमुलेटिव पॉजिटिव परसेंटेज हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं. इसके अलावा जैसा मैंने आपको कहा, हम 7 दिन के रोलिंग एवरेज की पॉजिटिविटी को भी देखते हैं. तो वो इसमें नहीं है, लेकिन मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगा कि अगस्त का जो पहला सप्ताह था उसमें 7 डे रोलिंग एवरेज के आधार पर जो पॉजिटिविटी देश में थी वो 11% थी. सो इन द फर्स्ट वीक ऑफ अगस्त द पॉजिटिविटी परसेंटेज ऑन अ 7 डे रोलिंग एवरेज वाज 11% एंड दिस हैज कम डाउन अगेन 7 डे रोलिंग एवरेज, दिस हैज कम डाउन टुडे टू 8%. तो अगर आप हिस्टोरिकल पॉजिटिविटी देखें तो वो 8.6 है. अगर आप 7 डे रोलिंग एवरेज में पॉजिटिविटी देखें तो वो 8% है. तो लगातार इसमें भी गिरावट आ रही है. ये है कि हम प्रतिदिन प्रति मिलियन कितने टेस्ट करते हैं. ये भी 7 दिन के मूविंग एवरेज के आंकड़े हैं. 1 अगस्त को 363 प्रति मिलियन टेस्ट होते थे. अब ये टेस्ट बढ़कर 600 से अधिक हो गए हैं. 23 अगस्त को हमने 619 टेस्ट प्रति मिलियन किए. यहाँ आपको ये जरूर ध्यान में रखना होगा कि हमारी आबादी भी बहुत बड़ी है. हम विश्व के दूसरी सबसे बड़ी जनसंख्या वाले देश हैं. तो इसलिए प्रति मिलियन टेस्ट की संख्या में वृद्धि करने में देश की जनसंख्या का भी एक बहुत बड़ा फैक्टर उसमें आ जाता है. जिन देशों की जनसंख्या कम है वहाँ प्रति मिलियन टेस्ट को बढ़ाना उतना ही आसान है, लेकिन भारत जैसे देश के लिए या कोई भी देश जहाँ की आबादी भारत के बराबर हो या भारत से अधिक हो, वहाँ प्रति मिलियन टेस्ट को बढ़ाने में अनेक चुनौतियों का सामना करना पड़ता है। ये जो मैं आपको पहले बता रहा था कि आज अगर आप कुल केसेस को एक पाई डायग्राम की शक्ल में देखें तो 22% ही एक्टिव केस हैं और 75.92% लोग डिस्चार्ज हो चुके हैं, रिकवर हो चुके हैं, अपने घरों में चले गए हैं, कुशल मंगल हैं। 24,04,000 इनका नंबर है और 58,390 दुखद मृत्यु हुई हैं। ये 1.84% है। ग्लोबली अगर आप मोर्टेलिटी रेट को देखें तो ये सबसे कम मृत्यु दरों में से है। तो आज जो वास्तविक केस लोड है कोविड-19 का देश में वो 7,04,338 है और जो रिकवर्ड केसेस हैं वो 24 लाख से अधिक हैं। इसमें एक बड़ी महत्वपूर्ण बात यह है कि पिछले 24 घंटे में एक्टिव केसेस की संख्या में 6,400 की गिरावट दर्ज हुई है। तो ये भी पहली बार हुआ है जबकि एक्टिव केसेस हैव रिड्यूस्ड बाय 6,423 इन द लास्ट 24 आवर्स। इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द फैक्ट, वो भी हम आपको अगली बार दिखाएंगे, आज हम उसको नहीं आपसे साझा कर पाए। अगर आप प्लॉट करें किसी ग्राफ पर रेट ऑफ इंक्रीज ऑफ एक्टिव केसेस डे ऑन डे और वीक ऑन वीक, तो आप पाएंगे कि देश भर में जो रेट ऑफ इंक्रीज ऑफ एक्टिव केसेस है उसमें भी डिक्लाइनिंग ग्राफ है। तो ये भी एक महत्वपूर्ण तथ्य है। अब है कि क्रिटिकल केसेस की क्या स्थिति है, क्योंकि एक अन्य आपसे इंटरैक्शन में हमने ये आपके संज्ञान में लाया था कि लगभग 15% केसेस ही अस्पतालों में आते हैं। अस्पताल 3 श्रेणियों के हैं। कोविड केयर सेंटर हैं जिसमें केवल आइसोलेशन बेड्स हैं, उसके बाद कोविड हेल्थ सेंटर्स हैं जिसमें बेड के साथ ऑक्सीजन है और डॉक्टर ऑन कॉल है, फिर डेडिकेटेड कोविड हॉस्पिटल्स हैं जिसमें आईसीयू भी हैं, वेंटिलेटर भी हैं, ऑक्सीजन भी है, डॉक्टर्स भी हैं, सारी सुविधाएं हैं। लेकिन कितने पेशेंट हैं जो ऑक्सीजन सपोर्ट पर हैं? तो आप देखेंगे कि कुल एक्टिव केसेस के केवल 2.70% ही ऑक्सीजन सपोर्ट पर मरीज हैं। वैसे ही आईसीयू में 1.92% मरीज हैं और वेंटिलेटर पर 0.5% से भी कम 0.29% मरीज हैं। दिस इज अ इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट। If we look at critical cases across the country, we find that only 2.70% of patients are on oxygen support. This is 2.70% of the total active cases reported today in the morning. Similarly, only 1.92% patients are in ICU and 0.29% patients are on ventilators. मैंने आपको अभी निवेदन किया था कि कुल जो मृत्यु हुई हैं वो 58,390 हैं। 58,390 को अगर आप जेंडर के हिसाब से देखें तो 69% मृत्यु पुरुषों में हुई हैं और 31% मृत्यु महिलाओं में हुई हैं। अगर आप कोमॉर्बिडिटीज़ वाले लोगों में देखें या जिनकी आयु अधिक है उसमें देखें तो 36% मृत्यु 45 से 60 वर्ष की आयु के व्यक्तियों में हुई हैं और 51% मृत्यु 60 वर्ष और उससे अधिक आयु के व्यक्तियों में हुई हैं। मैं इतनी ही जानकारी आज आपके समक्ष रखना चाहता था। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद सर। DGIS कुमार सर।
Thank you so much for this.
Please just sir, just 1 minute sir. I'll request all my colleagues, एक तो अपने साइलेंट मोड पे रखिएगा अपने मोबाइल्स का, एंड द कैमरामैन आर रिक्वेस्टेड कि भाई आप अपना जो भी रिप्ले करते हैं जस्ट काइंडली अवॉइड इट व्हेन द ब्रीफिंग इज गोइंग ऑन। थैंक यू सर।
You have to switch on the mic.
The important point we want to highlight is that this week we have touched the 1 million mark and how we have reached 1 million from one test in January in the last 6 months has been a calibrated effort. It has been a combined effort, and India has worked together with all the ministries working to achieve this number. So if you look at this, at the first phase, the COVID was purely an international phenomena occurring in large cities with large airports, and it was an urban phenomena, and we set up the RT-PCR labs, which is the gold standard still for testing. And in the second phase, at the district level, where some RT-PCR labs were set up, but it took time to set them up, we repurposed the tuberculosis TrueNat, the tuberculosis CBNat, and the NACO Abbott machines, which were in the NACO program for HIV/AIDS, and we were able to have a very short turnaround time for these molecular assays with high sensitivity and specificity at the district level. Subsequently, the third phase of testing started, wherein we were able to get some antigen tests with moderate to high sensitivity and very, very high specificity, and we were able to deploy these tests to do the antigen. So these were the three phases, and as we see the augmentation of the testing capacity, now here I want to emphasize one point, that this is our capacity. Today we may have 6 lakh tests, tomorrow we may have 5 lakhs, so we may have 9 lakhs, depending on how the testing is being done, where the testing is being done, what is the prevalence, has it, we are increasing it where the testing positivity is more. So if you look at the 30th January, it was 10 tests per day, then 15th of March, 1,000 tests per day, 15th of May, 95,000 tests a day, and 21st of August, which is just this week, we reached the landmark of 1 million or 10 lakh tests per day. And on the left side, you can see the comparison between various countries, wherein you have South Korea at the bottom, South Africa, United Kingdom, Russia, United States, and India, where the one peak has gone higher than the United States in terms of testing. However, this is quite close to the numbers which are being tested in the United States of America. Next, please. So this is the number of testing laboratories. They have, and the numbers have already been told by the Secretary, that on 25th August we have done 3 crore 68 lakh tests, and we have 1,524 laboratories, with having done about 1 crore tests on 7th of July, 2 crore on 3rd of August, and 3 crore on 17th of August. Next, please. So we also have been able to set up the high throughput laboratory machines at various sites, and these have the capacity of testing more than 1,000 tests at one place. We have repurposed a couple of the high throughput labs that were already available, and we have also got some more high throughput laboratories set up at the places which were really requiring it, Patna, Kolkata, and then cities or mega cities like Delhi and Bombay, where air traffic and other movement was tremendous, and the NCR region, where again the population is huge, and the Mumbai region, where the population is huge. Now, how we achieved this was that in the end of March and early April, much of the kits, that is 3 parts are there in the kits. One is the viral transport medium, the second is the RNA extracting, and the third is the RT-PCR kits. In the beginning of April, most of them were imported, and we gradually, our Indian industry startups performed very well. We had our central laboratories like DBT, DST, CSIR. They developed, IITs, MHRD, as well as DRDO. They developed many of these kits, and we have tested those kits, and more than 700 kits have been evaluated, and 171 viral transport kits have been evaluated, out of which 139 have been approved, and 119 are indigenous. Similarly, RNA extraction kits, 62 are indigenous. RT-PCR kits, 46 are indigenous out of the 104 that have been approved. And we have now for antibody testing the ELISA kits, which are 12 have been approved and 10 of them are indigenous. And the rapid antigen kits, again, there are 11 indigenous in the rapid antibody and 1 indigenous in the rapid antigen kit. So here I want to emphasize that with the Indian industry coming forward, the startups coming forward, we have been able to deploy large number of indigenous kits wherein they have brought down the cost of testing tremendously. And the last slide I will show how the cost has gone down from March, when at the beginning in March the RT-PCR extraction kit was costing about 1150 rupees, with the VTM and the RNA extraction kit costing 320 rupees each. So if you add 1200 plus 600 or 700, so it would be about 2000 rupees just the kits at that point in time. And this has come crashing down over the few months with indigenous kits being available. And once the indigenous kits are available, the international kits also reduce their cost to match them. And at this moment, the RT-PCR kit is available for 138 rupees, and the VTM as well as the RNA extraction kits are available for 90 rupees each. So the cost of the RT-PCR test is 138 plus 90, which would be about 300 rupees. So 310 rupees. So that is, I think, a huge thing that has happened in terms of the tests becoming affordable and now being available. So the purpose of our calibrating testing strategy was to gradually increase the number of tests as when the requirement, take it to areas where it was most required, Northeast, Ladakh, Andaman Nicobar Islands and Arunachal Pradesh, and all those areas, as well as bring down the cost so that it is available at a much lower cost for the states as well as the central government. And more recently, many of the states have started procuring these kits, and gradually the states have been performing phenomenally well in procuring these kits on their own, because all these kits are now available on the government e-market. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. First question, sir. What is the present status of e-ICU or tele-ICU exercise started by the All India Institute of Medical Sciences?
Okay. The tele-ICU exercise was started by Ministry of Health and All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, with the intent to train the doctors manning the ICUs across the country. The intent was also to answer some of the questions that these doctors face while treating COVID patients. So with that intent in mind, it was on 8th of July that tele-ICU intervention started. Every week on Tuesday and on Friday, there are these tele-ICUs which are conducted from AIIMS New Delhi, and treating doctors of ICUs in different hospitals across the country join in this intervention. And it's an interactive session. They ask questions, their doubts are cleared. As we interact with you today, exactly at this time, one such ICU, tele-ICU is happening since it happens every Tuesday and Friday. So from 8th of July till date, 14 such tele-ICUs have been held, and they have covered 148 hospitals, COVID hospitals across the country. And for each such interaction, detailed documentation is kept and is shared with the states so that they can refer to it at a later date. Similarly, there is a document that is under preparation by AIIMS New Delhi. It is a FAQ to help the treating doctors manning various ICUs across the country. So the experience so far has been quite good.
11.
नितेंद्र, डीडी न्यूज से। सर, आने वाले दिनों में स्कूल ओपन होंगे, खासतौर पे छोटे बच्चों का, तो 10 साल से कम उम्र के बच्चों के लिए मास्क को लेकर क्या कोई नई गाइडलाइन आएगी या फिर क्या कुछ व्यवस्था होगा?
अभी जो गृह मंत्रालय द्वारा जारी अनलॉक की गाइडलाइंस हैं, उनमें स्कूलों या कॉलेजों को खोलने से संबंधित कोई निर्देश नहीं है। ये तथ्य स्पष्ट होना चाहिए। दूसरी जो महत्वपूर्ण बात है वो ये कि स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय विभिन्न गतिविधियों को जब जब वो खोली जाती हैं, जैसे निर्णय एक हुआ था कि आप मॉल्स को खोलेंगे या जिम्स को खोल सकते हैं या इकोनॉमी के अन्य गतिविधियों को खोल सकते हैं, तो ऐसी प्रत्येक गतिविधि के लिए स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय द्वारा एक एसओपी बनाया जाता है। तो इसी प्रकार का एसओपी जब भी कभी शैक्षणिक संस्थाओं को खोलने का निर्णय होता है तो वो एसओपी फिर प्रभाव में आएगा और उसको इम्प्लीमेंट किया जाना होगा।
22.
My question is to DG ICMR. Sir, various sero studies have come up so far, from Delhi where we are told about 28% to Pune where we are told about 51% sero prevalence. Is ICMR aware how many of these sero surveys are now following up with studying neutralizing antibodies which will actually tell us what was the prevalence of immunity? And my second question is, ICMR also did one round of sero survey at few places and it was long back. Are those findings published in any paper yet? If not, why, and when can we expect them to be published?
Yes, I'll answer the second question first. The ICMR sero survey is is publication in process. It should appear hopefully by this week in the Indian Journal of Medical Research. It has been peer reviewed by several, it has gone to two rounds of peer review, and that has been done, and it will be published definitely by this week as we stand, because that's what the editor told me. The first question regarding various sero surveys, yes, it is this. Most of the sero surveys are being conducted by the states. We have from the ICMR embarked on the second national sero survey, and that is also work in progress, should be completed hopefully by the first week of September, and we will have results of that available. Having said regarding antibodies, most of the sero surveys are looking at antibodies. Neutralizing antibodies, T-cell responses, etc. are not being studied in these large sero surveys. However, most of these states, wherever they're conducting sero surveys, they do send us the results and the reports, and they are being compiled as well.
37.
सर, मैं अशोक हूँ एनआई से। मेरा सवाल ये है कि कोरोना के जो तीनों वैक्सीन हैं उनके स्टेटस क्या है और वो तीनों कौन से स्टेज पे हैं। दूसरा सवाल ये है कि क्या हम लोगों ने कुछ ऐसा नियम बनाया है कि जो अभी इंटरनेशनल फ्लायर हैं वो बिना आरटीपीसीआर टेस्ट कराए वो फ्लाई कर सकते हैं।
कोरोना वैक्सीन
जैसे कि मालूम है कि 3 वैक्सीन्स इस समय भारत में कुछ थोड़ा आगे बढ़ सकी हैं, और 3 और वैक्सीन हैं जो प्री क्लिनिकल स्टेज में हैंगी। जो 3 जो आगे बढ़ चुकी हैं उसमें सीरम इंस्टीट्यूट वाली वैक्सीन है जो फेज 2B और 3 की स्टेज में चली गई है, शुरू हो गई है, और जिसमें 1700 मरीजों को स्टडी किया जाएगा। और दूसरी भारत बायोटेक की वैक्सीन है जो फेज 1 की स्टडी में 375 मरीज को कंप्लीट कर चुकी है और सेकेंड फेज शुरू करेगी। और तीसरी जाइडस कैडिला की है जिसमें कोई फेज 1 की कंप्लीट हुई है उनकी, कोई 45 या 50 मरीज की, और सेकेंड फेज उनकी शुरू होने वाली है। तो ये पोजीशन है। और शुरू होने वाले इसमें फेजेस में आप लोग को ये समझना जरूरी है कि पहले 1 डोज वैक्सीन की मिलती है, क्योंकि ये हमेशा 2 डोज वैक्सीन है। तो पहले 1 डोज मिलेगी, उसके 14 दिन या 28 दिन बाद दूसरी डोज मिलेगी, और उसके बाद कम से कम 2 हफ्ते के बाद उनकी एंटीबॉडी रिस्पांस या 4 हफ्ते के बाद एंटीबॉडी रिस्पांस देखी जाती है ब्लड में कि एंटीबॉडीज पैदा हुए या नहीं पैदा हुए।
10. Yes, madam.
Sir,
Please, I think you have already asked 2 questions. Just let one ask the question.
So you have been mentioning that India has now increased its recoveries, and we are seeing a lot more recovered patients. But so there have been some complaints from the recovered patients themselves who have to have been admitted back into the hospitals with respiratory problems such as lung fibrosis. So we were hearing that some kind of post-COVID care facilities will be started. So could you give us more information on that, and how is the government looking at hand-holding hospitals across the country in states to do that?
There is a technical committee in the Ministry of Health which is headed by Director General Health Services. It's called the JMG. It consists of domain knowledge experts from different central government hospitals, from AIIMS New Delhi, from WHO India office, and even domain knowledge experts from outside the government. So that body, as I have shared with you earlier, is working on a document, a guidance document for people who recover from COVID and the possible complications that may arise and how to address those complications. To finalize that document, this technical body, the JMG, is obtaining data of the recovered patients from central government hospitals and AIIMS across the country, and those patients specifically who have come back with certain complications and have then been treated.
99.
So my question is, my first question is to both Mr. Bhargava and Mr. Bhushan, and that is regarding the breakup of RT-PCR and antigen tests. So why are we not being made available that breakup? Also the accuracies. If at all antigen has less accuracy, then I mean, what would the implications on the testing numbers look like? When we look at more recoveries, do we also look at it from the testing angle? That is the question.
Yeah.
And
I think just let the first question be answered, I think, one by one, yeah.
And just what is the relevance of sero surveys? I mean, if they are not giving you the T-cell response, etc., then what is the relevance of conducting it at all, and probably what kind of costs go into it?
Yeah, in terms of your percentage of tests and the rapid antigen tests, we have to clearly tell you that the RT-PCR tests are still growing at a rapid rate. We are setting up new labs to test RT-PCR more. Some states have found the antigen test slightly simpler and therefore have reduced the RT-PCR test by 1 to 2 or 2 to 3%, and they do not show the national rise which is being shown across the country in terms of RT-PCR tests. The antigen tests have grown and would represent anywhere across, because they vary from state to state. So if you look at the national average, there would be around 30 to 40% in terms of antigen tests, but many of them, if they are symptomatic, have to be followed by an RT-PCR test. So that adds to the number of RT-PCR tests. In terms of sensitivity, that has been discussed several times. The specificity is nearly 100% for both the tests, but sensitivity for the rapid antigen tests varies from, is of moderate nature and could be anywhere between 60 to 85%. However, the RT-PCR self-sensitivity could be anywhere from 80 to 95%, depending on the situation and how the sample has been collected and at what time of the illness the sample has been collected. Your question regarding serosurvey is an important one, because serosurveys are important to guide us in terms of where we are at the what phase of the epidemic are we in this particular area, and what we need to do in terms of our public health response, in terms of our containment zones, enhancing them, increasing them, making micro-containment zones, further isolating those people who are showing high prevalence. So that is the purpose of the serosurvey, to guide the policymakers how to, and that has happened right from the first serosurvey to the various state serosurveys, and that is why we have this example of how successful we have been in various mega cities.
33.
सीरो प्रेवलेंस पर मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगा, ये महत्वपूर्ण बात है, तो इसको हिंदी में भी समझाना जरूरी है कि सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है, हम सीरो प्रेवलेंस सर्वे क्यों करते हैं। हम इसलिए करते हैं कि हम जानें कि इन्फेक्शन का स्प्रेड क्या है, एकेडमिक एक्सरसाइज तो अलग चीज़ है, लेकिन जो लोग जमीन पर लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं उनके लिए ये जानना जरूरी है कि इन्फेक्शन का स्प्रेड क्या है। मैं आपको उदाहरण से समझाता हूँ। दिल्ली में पहला राउंड सीरो प्रेवलेंस का हुआ एनसीडीसी के नेतृत्व में, और इसमें मिड जून का जो इन्फेक्शन था उसको कैप्चर करने का प्रयास किया गया। दूसरा राउंड दिल्ली सरकार ने किया और उसमें मिड जुलाई के इन्फेक्शन को कैप्चर करने का प्रयास किया गया। आप दिल्ली इस समय 11 प्रशासकीय जिलों में विभक्त है। दिल्ली इज डिवाइडेड इनटू 11 एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स, ऑल्दो वी टेक दिल्ली एज वन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव यूनिट। I will give you example of two districts and how it feeds into policy making. In southeast Delhi, in the first round of zero prevalence, the prevalence was 22.12%. 22% इन्फेक्शन का स्प्रेड पाया गया पहले राउंड में। दूसरे राउंड में साउथ ईस्ट दिल्ली का जो जिला है उसमें 33% प्रेवलेंस पाया गया। तो किसी जिले में जहां 22% प्रेवलेंस है और किसी जिले में अगर किसी अन्य तारीख में 33% है, तो उसका प्रभाव उस जिले में किस प्रकार की कंटेनमेंट की कार्रवाई की जानी है, किस प्रकार की सर्वेलेंस की कार्रवाई की जानी है, उस पर पड़ेगा। तो ये सिग्निफिकेंस है सीरो प्रेवलेंस का। एक दूसरा उदाहरण साउथ वेस्ट दिल्ली का मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं। पहले राउंड में साउथ वेस्ट दिल्ली में zero prevalence was 12.95%, which is roughly 13% प्रेवलेंस पाया गया साउथ वेस्ट दिल्ली में पहले राउंड के सीरो सर्वेलेंस में। दूसरे राउंड में केवल 16% पाया गया। इसका अर्थ ये है कि साउथ वेस्ट दिल्ली की जो बड़ी आबादी है वो अभी भी ससेप्टेबल है इन्फेक्शन से। इसलिए जरूरी है कि लोग मास्क पहने, इसलिए जरूरी है कि लोग 2 गज की दूरी बनाकर रखें, इसीलिए जरूरी है कि लोग हैंड हाइजीन का पालन करें। जहां प्रेवलेंस ज़्यादा है उसका अर्थ ये नहीं है कि वहां भी हम अपने गार्ड को लोअर कर दें, हम अनजान बन जाएं इन्फेक्शन के प्रति। तो ये सिग्निफिकेंस सीरो प्रेवलेंस कराने का होता है ताकि आप डायनेमिकली अपनी पॉलिसी को, अपनी नीति को बदल सकें।
Hi, this is Ridma from Hindustan Times. My question would be on the vaccine, the Russian vaccine. How do we stand there? Where do we stand? Have they placed any formal request with the Indian government for its manufacturing here in India?
As far as Sputnik 5 vaccine is concerned, both the countries are in communication. Some initial information has been shared, some detailed information is awaited.
20.
Sir, at a time when there is a lot more discussion going on the NET and JEE examination, what is ministry's view on the congregation that is going to take place? Because everyone consults the ministry, and the only fear that is there in everyone's mind is the congregation that will happen at the exam centers in the rural and the urban areas. What is the ministry's view?
The joint entrance examination that is for engineering is organized by National Testing Agency NTA, and the NEET examination for medical seats is organized by BOG MCI. The issue of both JEE and NEET examination has been deliberated at length in various judicial forums, including the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Honorable Supreme Court of India has already decided on that issue. So we will not address that particular aspect, and it is not proper for us to raise or address that aspect again once it has been legally settled. Coming to how the examinations would be conducted, I would draw your attention to the fact that in response to an earlier question I had submitted, that Ministry of Health prepares a detailed SOP for any activity that is opened up. Similarly, for holding exams, we have prepared a SOP, and that SOP has been shared with the authorities that are responsible for conducting the exam as well as with the various state governments.
34.
So there are some reports of a reinfection in Hong Kong, and from what we hear, somebody in the health ministry has actually been infected second time. Is that correct? And what is our position on reinfection?
Yes, we have read with interest the report on reinfection of one case in Hong Kong. It can depend on several factors. One of all could be related to the patient itself. How is his immunity? What was his immune status? Was he immune compromised? It could also depend on the virus, whether the virus has mutated a little bit or the virus has become more virulent. So we are learning more and more about this disease as we go ahead. Having said that, this is only one case that has been reported of reinfection, and that is very rare for viral infections, because I will give you an example of measles. Now measles, if once it affects, you are supposed to get lifelong immunity. But there may be a few cases, rarely, where you may get measles the second time. Similarly, this is a stray example of a second. We do not yet know how long the immunity lasts, but for measles we know that it lasts lifelong. But for this disease, we are still trying to find out exactly how long the immunity will last. And because the disease itself is only 7-8 months old, so we cannot comment detailed on this, but it's just one case and we need to closely follow it up. But at the same time, we do not to be alarmed immensely about it at the moment.
14.
Hypothetical question.
14.
सर टेस्टिंग को लेके है कि आपने कहा कि कई जगहों पर टेस्टिंग वगैरह बढ़ा दी गई है, लेकिन दिल्ली शहर में देखा जा रहा है कि पिछले 4-5 दिनों में अचानक से नंबर ऑफ केसेस बढ़ रहे हैं. तो क्या ये टेस्टिंग घटाने की वजह से ऐसा आ रहा है या फिर क्या वो रीअकर कर रहा है दिल्ली में? ये पहला सवाल. और दूसरा सवाल ये कि क्या कोई वैक्सीन ट्रैकर भी बना रहे हैं?
There are many people who are waiting for the question. Please just restrict to one question.
अच्छा.
देखिए, एक पॉइंट नोट करने का है कि वैसे दिल्ली में बहुत ज़्यादा केस नहीं बढ़ रहे हैं. एक समय पे काफ़ी 3-4 हज़ार तक पहुंच गए थे. 1400 आए, 1000 आए, तो अभी 1000-1400 के बीच में चल रहे हैं. बीच में 1000 के नीचे भी गए थे एक बारी. मगर दिल्ली एनसीआर रीजन की आबादी बहुत ज़्यादा है, मूवमेंट भी ज़्यादा है, और जैसे अनलॉक हुआ है थोड़ा सा मूवमेंट बढ़ा है, तो हम लोग को सारे एहतियात रखने हैं. मास्क पहनना, हैंड वॉशिंग एंड फिजिकल डिस्टेंसिंग, इसलिए ये बहुत ज़रूरी है. नहीं तो जैसे कि लंदन में देखा गया या इटली में देखा गया, थोड़ा सा रिकरेंस स्पेन में देखा गया, थोड़ा सा बढ़ गया था, फिर कम होने के बाद फिर थोड़ा सा बढ़ गया. ये इसके लिए हम लोग को एहतियात रखना है. ये नेचुरल कोर्स है.
31.
Next question.
Hello, sir. So yesterday the WHO said that 172 countries have expressed interest in the COVAX facility and are willing to make upfront payments. Is India one of those countries? And also with regards to capacity, vaccine capacity, what has the government learned from there? Is it looking at contract manufacturing?
Should I answer the first one? What WHO said yesterday about COVAX was the fact that 172 member countries have become part of the COVAX facility. To the best of my knowledge, there is no reference to countries making upfront payment in COVAX, nor have the countries been requested by the COVAX authorities in this regard. COVAX, as you must know, is a arrangement brought about by WHO, CEPI and Gavi, and it works on the principle of pooling the demand of member countries for vaccine on one hand and pooling on the other hand the supply of certain shortlisted candidate vaccines. They have so far shortlisted 9 such vaccines whose manufacturing capacities they have ascertained, and therefore then they have done a projected pooling of what would be available, and they have also done a pooling of the projected demand.
Number 6.
Is there a figure on the number of people suffering from this post-COVID syndrome? Is there a statistic? Like, how many percentage of the people are suffering from such a...
Presently, we are not tracking that number.
53.
मेरा क्वेश्चन सर वही था कि रशिया को लेकर जो भारत सरकार से बातचीत हुई है,
ओके, ऑलरेडी
उसको
आंसर।
लेकर वो हो गया कंप्लीट।
ओके, 46।
सर मैं लक्ष्मण हूँ CNBC आवाज़ से। हालांकि आंशिक तौर पे कुछ जवाब आपने दिए हैं। मेरा सवाल स्पेसिफिक ये है कि हम लोग अनलॉक 4 की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं, वैसे चीज़ों खोलने की तैयारी है जहाँ पे मास मूवमेंट होगा। क्या स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय से किसी भी तरह की सलाह मशवरा हुआ है, और स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय क्या इसके पक्ष में है या फिर आर्थिक मजबूरी है?
जब जब अनलॉक की गाइडलाइंस निर्गत होती हैं तो होल ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट अप्रोच का पालन किया जाता है। ये गाइडलाइंस किसी एक मंत्रालय द्वारा जारी की जाती हों ऐसा नहीं है। एक मंत्रालय के तकनीकी निर्गत आदेश से जरूर वो जारी होती हैं, लेकिन उसमें सभी संबंधित मंत्रालयों से विमर्श किया जाता है और व्यापक विचार विमर्श किया जाता है। अब जब भी अगली इस प्रकार की गाइडलाइंस निर्गत होंगी तो मानकर चलिए कि वो व्यापक विचार विमर्श के उपरांत ही जारी की जा रही हैं।
लास्ट क्वेश्चन 152।
So Sneha from CNN News 18. I want to ask you, who is driving the pandemic in India? Are there younger people driving the pandemic? And what about the symptoms? Are there more asymptomatic people? What's your understanding of the current situation?
What do you want to answer?
I think it's a good question, who is driving the pandemic. It is, I would not say younger people or older people, I would say irresponsible people who are not using the mask are the ones who are driving the who are not maintaining distance, who are not using the, and who are casual. Because there is a group of people that there is no need to be frightened about this pandemic, and there is a group who are very cautious. And I think you may find cases in the very cautious as well, but you have to remember that that is what is, they are definitely not driving the pandemic. It's the less cautious people who are driving the pandemic.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, friends.
So a detailed briefing today on behalf of the Union Health Ministry as well as the ICMR. A lot of facts being put out, very positive ones as well. For the first time, the number of recovered cases in the last 24 hours has been more than the new cases that have come up in the last 24 hours, and the quantum is also fairly significant, more than 6,000 such cases. The other data that's been put out through the course of the press conference today, if we could just recall that for you, lots of interesting fact points. Testing has gone up exponentially now. Ever since the 25th of August, India has had a capacity of more than 10 lakh COVID tests per day. The number of labs have also gone up. There are now 1,524 labs conducting different kind of tests for COVID-19, and the Ministry was also very clear on how these tests are fairly exhaustive, although in some states they did say that some states prefer to conduct the quicker, the half an hour test that gives results in half an hour, the antigen one, but the proportion of RT-PCR tests is also quite large, because that has been a bit of a concern. Also, the recovered COVID-19 cases are 3.4 times now than the number of active cases in the country. So a lot of positive data coming forth in the fight against COVID-19. Sero survey will also be coming out very soon. That's what the ICMR said in 10 hotspot cities, and it has also been said that there is progress being made on the vaccine development front within the country, and there are talks on with Russia for Sputnik 5 as well, and that again will be further informed as things develop.